Somebody's waiting for us in Chicago.
Like I said, I'm sorry. What?
The magical, extremely cold winds of the windy city of Chicago.
Yes.
Brings us Mike Jump Moran.
That's me. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
This is how cold I am. My wife gave me this lovely electric blanket as a Christmas present, which comes in handy because me and blood thinners are trying to get along, and it's bleeping cold. So I'm putting this on. Allie, how are you, my dear? Great to have you again.
Well, great to be here and great to see all of you again. I am actually doing pretty well. Once my thermostat finally got fixed and I went above 65 degrees in my house, I am very fine.
Good.
And I have a really tall and beefy boyfriend, so I get to snuggle.
There you go.
Yeah.
Allie, speaking of the cold.
Yeah.
While I was digging out of a foot of snow on Sunday, all I have to ask, what the hell happened in South Carolina?
They took their eye off the ball, baby.
South Carolina did. The undefeated Vanderbilt.
Yeah, they are.
Is no longer the undefeated Vanderbilt.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
And I think it's with Vandy. I mean, they've had a dream season. They have just had a dream season. And I think they should have been grateful that they made it last this long because nobody saw Vandy coming this season.
You also need to be grateful that South Carolina didn't hang 120 on them. Instead of just 103 that they got put on them. When they
Vandy came out and just couldn't match South Carolina, and actually South Carolina in a down year was still. I mean, let's face it, Dietz. It wasn't. What was that? Did you?
Sorry,
he did it again.
Boy, I would have.
It's what happens when I'm drinking so much. I'm drinking so much soda so I can stay awake.
You gotta drink coffee. Coffee does not make you burp. So
I can't. I'm not. I physically cannot drink coffee.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
When I was 2 years old, I was sitting on my grandmother's lap, and she put her coffee down, and me being a rambunctious 2-year-old, decided to grab her cup of coffee and not sip it, down the whole thing.
Oh my God!
Needless to say, I'm trying to remember how they put it on the Nathan's hot dog, but I refunded that coffee real quick. And so every time, and ever since then, every time I have tried to drink coffee, I have like Vietnam level flashbacks, and I have to. It makes me want to puke. Every time I've tried, and everybody said, "Oh, you're it'll grow on you. It'll grow on you." Every single time I have tried coffee, the first sip, and I'm like, "Nope, this is coming. This is coming back."
No, I totally understand. I understand flashbacks. I understand all of that.
I had to get rid of the habit once and for all. Because I had coffee in all forms. I wasn't even fully introduced to it until I had to go to the hospital. And they gave me that choice, and they coupled it with stevia. And Victor, I hate you for that, but I also love you for that suggestion at the same time. So finally, last Friday, I said, screw it. And I threw it all out. And
You were smart.
I actually started sleeping. Speaking of smart, to couple Dietz's question with what the hell happened in South Carolina, what the hell happened at Gamble Pavilion?
I'm sorry, say that again. In what pavilion?
Gamble Pavilion, Stores, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. Well, which time, honey?
I would lend credence. I would lend credence to Dietz's argument and say Dietz is very smart in saying, women's basketball wouldn't be fun to watch if there's one team beating the hell out of everybody. This is where I have fun to pick on Dietz and say, yeah, it is, because I love the UConn Huskies, and I love the fact that they are becoming the dynastic UConn Huskies again. And what's our saying? To be the champs, you have to unseat the champs.
Yeah.
And after a long time of UConn not being able to compete for championships, they would get so far, then they get eliminated they eliminated before they get in the Final Four, or they would get eliminated before the championship game. Notre Dame, thank you very much, a few years ago. Gino Auriemma got mad.
Mm-hmm. Gino, I mean, the only time that they have even been close to losing a game is against Michigan this year. And 72-69 loss on November 21st. And the Wolverines had a big rally in the second half that just fell short. Now, that is the most that any team has scored against the Huskies in 2025, 2026. Let me say this. They're playing the Lady Vols on Sunday. But
I have that game.
Good.
Because I had a game today, but since we have an extra hour, I'm going to replace it with that game on Sunday at Gamble Pavilion, which means it's going to be
it's in Connecticut, but it's not going to be at Gamble.
No, it's not in Gamble. They moved it.
It's going to be at the Hartford Civic Center.
Thank you, Hartford.
Or whatever they call the Civic Center now. But
maybe they should put it at Mohegan Sun. It's not that far away, so wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, but the Civic Center is actually bigger.
Civic Center holds 16.5. Mohegan Sun 13.5.
Oh, okay.
So they were smart to put it at the Hartford Civic Center.
Yes.
As I said, Gino Auriemma got mad. He got even. Yep. He's got 2 consecutive championships that he's working on, steamrolling everybody in the Big East. No one in the Big East is going to challenge them.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Besides maybe Tennessee, is there someone that can challenge UConn?
Well, I don't think so. I think that Tennessee is going to give it its best, but they are 14-3 in the SEC. So I just don't think that they have what they can do. I don't see that unless. And I'll tell you this about Gino Auriemma. Forever and ever, he is the last person to believe that his team can win every game. And the thing is, if you get complacent, that's when you start losing your games. And so he will whip them into a frenzy before game time. And I've seen him do that. God knows how many times in the days of his rivalry with DePaul. In the days,
DePaul produced some great rivalries, especially when they played in Chicago.
They were fabulous. And the thing is that this
has ever been if anyone has ever experienced a game at McGrath Arena when UConn came to town, and I've experienced 3 of them. That joint will blow you. You would think, a 3,500 seat arena would sound like the United Center. That's just how loud McGrath Arena got.
Yeah.
Loud, anxious, nervous, excited. That's the kind of rivalry they had with DePaul, who was coached by Doug Bruno for the longest time. God bless you.
Hey, and Allie, you mentioned earlier in the segment. You mentioned nobody saw this coming from Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Whose head coach is Shea Ralph,
Right.
former UConn graduate Shea Ralph. Who? Where'd she get her coaching style from? Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute.
Have been, right? You're absolutely right.
Who would have thunk it, right?
Yeah, really. Well, there is absolutely nothing wrong with patterning your coaching style after the great Gino Auriemma, right? And so I think that's part of the reason why they have had such a wonderful season. They have simply never been in this position. They are number 7 this week at 20 and 21 and 1, I believe, something like that. And they're up against Florida on February 1st. Now, to get through the SEC, they were not going to come unscathed.
Right.
They're I mean, you got Tennessee in there, you've got you got a little competition, but I think this matchup, and I need to say this matchup on Sunday with UConn harkens back to the days of Gino Auriemma and the late great Pat Summitt, and the coaches. While they had a professional courtesy, they trash talked themselves throughout, and it was so delicious to watch that. It was one of the best and most fun times of the year. That was when UConn ruled, and there weren't that many contenders the way there are now. I still remember that from the early aughts and going onwards to Pat's very untimely death. It was and it was one of my favorite matchups of the entire year. Now we can look forward to maybe another rivalry. I think it'll be a hell of a lot more civil. But
I could just imagine you guys know this because you guys have covered basketball games. Could you imagine sitting at that table trying to focus on the game, and you got Pat Summitt on one side screaming her head off, and you got Gino on the other side of the table screaming his head off. I could not imagine trying to pay attention to the game. Like, one guy screaming at his team, the other team screaming at them, she's screaming at her team, and they're all screaming. And you're just like, what am I doing? How am I playing this? How do I do this?
Yeah.
You know what I have to do? I would have to put a microphone. If I was doing a play-by-play for that game, I would have to put a microphone on both benches.
Oh no, you'd get like 5 words out of the whole speech because every other word would be bleeped out. Every other word would just be bleep.
And it would be an extended bleep too. I have on my soundboard. 23 after the hour, Allison Moran is here with us as she is every week. And Allie put a note in here and said, look, Snowman, we never do the women's top 25. We need to do that today. I will honor that. And let's start at the bottom here. We'll go from bottom to top. So women's top 25, and number 25, we start with Georgia.
Georgia. Well, one set of Bulldogs, one set of Bulldogs are out of range, and I say that Georgia's an emerging team this year. It's we also haven't talked about them much in the previous year. And what's that? I keep hearing noises. What?
He's moving.
It's called
Oh, that's me. Sorry. My headset.
Yeah.
Adjusting a headset that I've had to do quite a few times.
Gotcha. It's just distracting to some degree. It's one thing I love about this season in the NCAA women's is that you see a lot of new contenders. You see much more drama, which is going to bode well for all professional teams in the future. I am excited, really excited to because now you're seeing teams like the Ole Miss Rebels at number 16. You know, I have never talked about Ole Miss in the entire 20-some years that I have been involved in college basketball. I've talked consistently about South Carolina, UConn, Tennessee. Let's see, who else?
Consistent lately? Texas.
Yeah, Texas, number 4 this week, and it's exciting. And the thing is that they did have back-to-back losses, though. Their first losses of the season to LSU and to South Carolina on January 11th and January 15th. However, they have emerged, and they haven't been that way since about the middle of the aughts. In 2000s when Gail Gerstenkers had the team. So this is great. I have concerns about the LSU Tigers at number 5. They are not as dominant as they were. They had an 0-2 SEC start, and in the middle of let's see. Then they won 5 in a row after starting this season. That included blowouts, though, last week, I should say, against Texas A&M and Florida. And
Florida.
What's that?
They blew out Florida.
89-60.
Yep.
That wasn't the comparison of let's say 97-39 UConn Huskies over Xavier. God. But I will say that I think that the bark of Kim Mulkey's bite is no longer as sharp as it was. I'm just saying. Malaysia Fulwiley tied a season high against the Aggies. And I think, though, that this year there's been some pushback. And that's where I think there's been a problem with the way Kim Mulkey has done stuff. However, right now they look like they're back on track.
Who is the surprise for you in the top 25 so far? Because I got a couple of them. And one of them is near the top, though they're led by one of the best players in the game. And that's UCLA at number 2, led by Lauren Betts.
Goodness. Yeah, let's talk. It's UCLA. My God. I'll tell you, I don't know where their recruiting has been all these years, but over the last 2 or 3 seasons, I've seen such an amazing turnaround with them. The Bruins, like, for example, they steamrolled Purdue 96-48, and Northwestern. I hate to even say this because it's so humiliating for Northwestern. 80-46. It's. I mean,
they just rolled through. They just rolled through Champaign and beat Illinois.
Yeah, and part of the reason this year, Gabriela Jaquez or Jaquez, I'm not sure what, she's led the Bruins in scoring in the past 3 games, combined 44 points against the Boilermakers and the Wildcats, and they've dominated all Big Ten play. They're facing Iowa this week. And they are the undefeated Iowa Hawkeyes. and 9-0 at this point. This will be their big test to see if they can continue on their great streak, or are the Iowa Hawkeyes, who actually have been number 8. Anything is possible. And interestingly enough, today they're playing USC.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how that works. They're having right now. The big question is going to be, how are they going to do without Taylor McCabe? Because Taylor McCabe last Sunday got an ACL tear, and so she's out for the season. Yeah. We will see. And she was their best outside shooter at 3-pointers. She had, get this, 49. 49.
Here's a UCLA player that's very, very underrated because of the stardom of Lauren Betts. That is Angela Duga-Leach.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's their Swiss Army knife. Everything rolls through Betts. Betts makes most of the decisions. But if you have to keep an eye, besides on Jaquez, you got to keep an eye on Angela Duga-Leach. Last year, her shooting was not good. She only shot 44% from the field. This year, she's over 50% from the field, 40 from 3-point range, and has gotten better, especially after learning how to team with Lauren Betts and the rest of those players. But man, an underrated player is Angela Duga-Leach from UCLA. You gotta watch her.
I'm all for that. Definitely. Oh,
yeah, Allie. Yeah, Allie, you know, in college football, everybody always talks about, it's the SEC and the Big Ten. And they have this argument all the time of, it's just these 2 conferences and it's nobody else. And then you look at women's college basketball, and yeah, UConn is there from the Big East. The rest of the top 20 is basically the SEC and the Big Ten, and nobody cares because we know that there's conference tournaments coming. Is it just because there's conference tournaments coming up, or nobody cares that it's just these 2 conferences?
And I'm gonna love actually having a chance to cover the conference tournament this year. That's going to be the second part of March for me. I can't wait. The small ones, like the Sun Belt Conference, which I'm getting a hold of. Of course, we're going to cover the Big Ten. There's a couple of other conferences that we have on the docket. But the small
conference, the ACC, because it's basically non-existent right now.
Now. Well, without Notre Dame, who has fallen out of real contention this year. Dietz, I wanted to counter you with a few stats here. You've got the Texas Longhorns at number 4. In
the SEC.
Right. You have, that's right. You have Oklahoma Sooners
in the SEC.
And they're
Baylor
gonna,
Bears,
I believe they're going to play
TCU,
again.
Baylor's
TCU
there.
Horned Frogs, and
That's the Big
Yep.
12.
Yep. And so you've got a few from the other conferences. I just don't want to say that it's only the SEC and the Big Ten, because not everybody is at the at the top, but they're not at the bottom either.
Right.
And
The biggest surprise for me that has dropped. The biggest surprise for me that has dropped out of the top 25 ever having such a sizzling start is Iowa State.
Yeah. Well, Audie Crooks can't do it all.
Right.
I mean, she just surpassed 2,000 points in her 2 years there.
Yeah.
It's and I think that the biggest problem is that a lot of her surrounding Big Five is just not coming together for them, and I think that's been
outside shooting with Iowa State.
There's
no outside presence, and unlike last year, there's no outside fear. For Iowa State, everything's going through Crooks, and now they figured that out, and they essentially played themselves out of the top 25.
Yeah, which is sad. Well,
that's what made Snowman's favorite. That's what made Caitlin Clark so astonishing at Iowa, is that Iowa was just basically Caitlin Clark. And she was carrying, and it's like what's happening with Iowa State now. The girl, she was carrying the team, but when she has an off night, there's nobody else there to pick her up.
Exactly.
That's what made Caitlin Clark. She just never had an off night, and she was just killing it. And then she ran into LSU, who had all these juggernauts, and had to take them on by herself. And that's what made everybody go, holy cow, Caitlin Clark can do this. Like, the Iowa State girl, she can drop 50 on a game. But then if she has a night where she drops 20, there's nobody there to pick that other 30 up.
Right.
Of Iowa, there's a player that can pick them up that played along with Caitlin Clark. That's their big, Hannah Stuelke.
Yeah.
Hannah Stuelke is a double-double machine. Indeed, you bring up a great point. With Caitlin Clark carrying the Iowa Hawkeyes for 2 years, you just saw the emergence of Hannah Stuelke. You just saw the emergence of Kate Martin. They just started to emerge when Caitlin Clark was already in the other stratosphere. Now, with them being undefeated going into Sunday's game with UCLA, and that's the second game of our doubleheader. We're going to see how Iowa can play up with Dugalich, with Lauren Betts, with Jaquez, and these thoroughbreds that can run. We're going to see how they match up. You mentioned TCU. They're still in the top 25.
Yeah, they're number 13 this week. And
TCU Baylor Big 12 championship preview, maybe?
Maybe. Yep, I think so. They're playing Texas Tech on February 1st, and so that's going to be a nice little challenge for them. I'll be curious to see how Olivia Miles does. She led TCU in scoring last week with 17 points, and TCU and Baylor were the top teams in the Big 12 last season, and that's where they stand now. Bears at 8-1 and the Frogs at 7-1. And their regular season meetings are upcoming at Baylor on February 12th and TCU on March 1st. So we'll see what they have.
That one closes their season. On March 1st, does it not? TCU and Baylor?
Yeah, that's right. Before the conference championship.
will close the regular season, decide the regular season conference title, and could possibly decide the number 1 seed in the Big 12. Because that
Right.
Big 12 team features a double bye, just like the Big 10 does. There's a couple of conferences that feature a double bye. So those two matchups are going to be huge because it's going to be TCU and Baylor the rest of the way, unless Texas Tech can make up a game within the next month. But this is college basketball, and it can happen.
It can. We got to talk about Caitlin and her new off-season gig. That's what she's joining NBC Sports as a special contributor for the debut of Basketball Night in America. You just finished, Sunday night on NBC, Sunday Night Football. Now they've got Basketball Night in America, kind of like Hockey Night in Canada. Yeah. And they have the new NBA pregame program on Sunday nights. They're starting with the Lakers and the Knicks. And I'll be very curious because they've got Carmelo Anthony and Vince Carter, and and it'll be kind of fun to see how she mixes in with these guys. She's the most laid back of interviews. I know that. I wonder, I have never seen her get nervous. Have you?
Nope.
It's Greg and I were watching.
Everybody gets nervous for her.
Yeah, it's
everybody gets nervous for her.
The woman does not sweat. It's like it'll be very interesting. I have a sense memory of when I think it may have been ABC or NBC that hired Magic Johnson, who proved to be very, very, very nervous in his first outings.
And it was NBC. And in fact, it was the 91-92 season when the Bulls were erupting. So he joined the on-site broadcast crew. Yes. And I was surprised because I'd interviewed Magic before and he was all laid back and things like that. And I don't think I'm not really sure why, but I think he was told to keep it short, and Johnson does not keep it short most of the time. It was a three-man crew at the time. It was Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, and Magic Johnson.
Yeah,
they shared the mic together for 2 years, and then for a while, Magic was put on the other broadcast team of Dick Enberg, Steve Snapper Jones, and Magic Johnson. So he shared time with the top 2 announced teams when the NBA was on NBC. I'm curious to see if they move Caitlin Clark to a color commentary position as well as.
I don't think they would. I don't think they would do that until she's done playing. Until she's done playing, I think while she's still playing, I think she has to be in the studio, and that way once she's not playing, then she can kind of work her craft. But what'll be interesting about that whole crew will be watching Maria Taylor try to point guard with Carmelo, Vince, and trying to get Caitlin. She's going to have to, Maria Taylor's going to have to steer that ship to get Caitlin. And she's going to have to throw her the ball a couple times to get her going.
And it's going to have to be a bullet.
You're right. She ain't going to be able to get a word in on those guys. They just go. They just go. And they just don't stop.
And that scares me, especially given her plethora of knowledge of basketball. They're going to try to freeze her out, and I don't want them to. I don't want them to freeze her out. But as you guys mentioned, Carmelo Anthony is there. Vince Carter is there. And then you got Caitlin Clark, who knows a lot about basketball right along with these guys. How are they going to treat her? That's what I'm going to be interested to see.
I'm going to be very curious about what role they give her, and I'm excited too because this is a big gamble for NBC. And I'm kind of surprised that they handed it to Caitlin of all people. I know that it'll certainly get eyes on the game. However, while she has been comfortable, I was saying before, Greg and I were just watching her interview with David Letterman, which was a couple seasons ago, and she was very laid back with him, and she's like, "Come on, give me the hard hitting questions," But
It was
with
she kept saying, "Bring it on."
yeah, exactly, and it was fun. So I think she'll be able to handle whatever role they give her. Ordinarily they do not set somebody like Caitlin up to fail. So
Right.
I think that she can rise and do everything that she wants to do. I think she's going to be very Midwestern in her approach. I think she's going to be very matter of fact. I think she's going to have been well studied on anything that the Lakers and Knicks are in, are in need of.
She's pouring into that research. She's pouring into that research.
Yeah.
Already. She's pouring into it.
Well,
and
it's
she'll
good.
pour
It's
for every matchup.
to answer Alex's question of why they went there. It's because NBC is smarter than that 4-letter network, and they know. Hey, we got the hottest thing in college basketball. We have the hottest thing in women's basketball. Let's put her on our lead show. Let's do that and capitalize on her popularity. Unlike her own league won't even put her as the face of the league.
No,
and NBC is like, no, come on and be on our flagship show.
Right.
Listen, the decision was too easy. Okay.
Yeah.
And as Deep said, and as I have said so many times over, and Allie, you've hung out with me when I said it, unlike the WNBA that don't prioritize the biggest player they've had in the game since Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson in that era, they're putting her where she needs to be, which is in the spotlight. And she's going to kill it. And I know she is. She's pouring into her research, getting ready for the Lakers and the Knicks right now. I don't want to talk about the CBA with the W because it's at a standstill right now.
It is.
I don't. We'll just start with the confirm rating slump of Unrivaled.
Yeah, this is
continuing. How did George Carlin put it? CTD, circling the drain.
Oof.
Yeah.
I looked at Unrival's ratings this year as compared to last year. There are so many sound bites that come into mind right now, but again, I'll just borrow the words of the late great George Carlin. CTD, circling the drain.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is? Really?
I think it's no longer a new shiny thing. I think that also it's very hard in many instances to find TBS. I think the model that they built it on was more like a cable model. Yep. Instead of a streaming model. And the problem is, like, I don't get TBS on my streaming service. I don't. So they've had a few games. I believe it's on Amazon Prime. So I've been able to get it there. But let's just say for the last week, for example, Unrivaled was on True TV. And this was their high point game with 0.03 of the audience, 143rd out of all programs. The next game, the Hive versus the Laces, only got 0.02 and was in 167th place. Now, you compare that with the WNBA, averaged nearly 1 million viewers per game this past season, even without Caitlin Clark.
Yep.
Now, they've got a big test coming up this weekend. There's a tour stop in Philadelphia, and it starts tomorrow night, 2-game slate, and it's going to be played at Xfinity Mobile Arena, and that has a capacity of roughly 17,000 to 19,000, and depending on the event. And the games, Unrivaled has said that the games are sold out, and resale prices were starting at $123 as of Wednesday afternoon. I think one of the things that they need to take a look at is their media rights deal.
Yes.
They have a 6-year media rights deal with TNT, reportedly worth 9 figures, but the parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, can opt out after 3. And TNT also has equity in this league as well, and Warner Brothers Discovery itself is facing kind of a shaky future, as Netflix and Paramount are both trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. Is it sustainable as a league? I'd say that it is sustainable if you change the media model for it.
Thank you. Because what the 4-letter network does for the W, just to give them a little bit of an appease, 3 letters, ABC.
Yes.
If you want to see a big game, you can always catch it. You can always do it like the way they did in the past. You can catch it on a free network.
Right.
Everything.
Well, so the games will be on HBO Max.
Basically.
If you're looking for the streaming element, because it's TBS, True TV, and TNT. Those are through HBO Max.
Yes.
And Allie said something just a moment ago that really should hit home and cause them to relook at their options. You make it a streaming option and make it available for everybody, they'll pick it up in a heartbeat, even if they only tune in for a couple of minutes. You got those eyes. But no, they want to put it on a traditionally structured cable model. And as Allie mentioned, she doesn't get TBS. What do you do with the fans that want to look at it and they can't get it?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And occasionally you can get it through HBO Max. Thank you for saying that, Dietz. It's just those games are also not as consistent, and there is a lot of competition. Also, not everybody has HBO Max.
And not every number with HBO Max, as you mentioned last week, Allie, is counted toward the official viewership.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is contributing to this slump. Not all the eyes from HBO Max are counted because they are not counting them. They're only
because they don't count, because that's not how streaming services are counted. Streaming services are counted by minutes watched. They're not. So they don't know about the eyeballs and all that. Everything in Nielsen ratings, when you look at a streaming show, is by minutes watched and not how many views it has or how many people click on it. So it's a very different metric.
Which is the reason why they need to change the metrics of how Unrivaled is watched. Because I think that there are, I think that you could call the league successful. And I think you can call it that if you measure it properly. And I don't think they've been measuring it properly. So
how would you suggest they measure it?
I would say that they would have to look at the structure of first of all the clicks that you get on. I think they need to pull in the HBO Max somehow. I don't know how you would do that, but I have a feeling that it's a much better watched game than that. I would say that if somehow this model doesn't work out, what would there be to say that NBC couldn't pick it up as part of the deal? I mean, it would make perfect sense since they're trying to be the NBA.
I think the more perfect avenue for it would be CBS.
Probably.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking.
Because when they do March Madness.
Oh, that's fair. That would,
they get that. TNT has some of the games. TBS has some of the games. True TV has some of the games, and CBS. If they could weasel their way into CBS, and that may come when we get through the Super Bowl. When we get through the Super Bowl, CBS doesn't have much going on their weekend coverage. They might be able to squeeze in an unrivaled game and throw it on CBS, in between something, and that would make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
I think it will, because for the longest time, CBS basically ruled sports programming. They had the NFL, they had the NBA. For a while, they had Major League Baseball, and they had this little thing we like to call CBS Sports Saturday or Sports Sunday. If that model is still around, they can easily slip it in there, introduce it as a new thing, and then slowly make it work its way into the main programming. That's how they did it with the NBA in 1981.
True.
When the NBA first started going live, especially with something we like to recognize as Christmas Day games, they slid it under Sports Sunday, because the first one I watched was the Lakers and the Suns, Christmas Day, 1981. They did that under the Sports Sunday label. And slowly it started making its way to the main network. And once they made it to the main network, the rest of the story.
Right. Love that axe, Dietz. That scares me every time.
All right.
It's not need to be scared. It's foam.
Now I feel better.
To be scared. Allison Moran joining us every single week with her take on women's sports. Love having you, Allie. We love you, my dear. See you next week.
Love you too. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Yep.